Hey, what's going on? Banana156 here with another video. Remember, subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit weird. It's kind of early in the morning, and yeah. And also, I don't know if this video will get up right exactly at noon Pacific Standard Time, because I am recording this not too long before that, so I don't know. But it will come out Friday nonetheless, so that's good. I was on time, kind of. But yeah. So let's get right into the video. So in this video, I want to talk about Ice Age. And Ice Age was just such a great movie for me as a kid. I absolutely loved it. And recently I rewatched it with my girlfriend, and it made me realize just how good of a movie it actually is. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal movie, and I want to talk about it a little bit. So the main reason why Ice Age is so good is how the story forces the characters to develop. So the main story within Ice Age is, they find this little kid, and this group of ragtag Ice Age animals have to come together to save this little kid and bring him back to his people. And those animals are Manny the mammoth, Diego the saber-toothed tiger, and Sid the sloth. And all these guys, this weird group of animals has to work together to try and get these guys, get this human baby back to his people. And originally Diego is trying to lead them astray and lead them back to the saber-toothed pack so they can kill him. But eventually he turns it around and does good for the group. So yeah, with that simple story, it forces all of these characters and these animals into really strange situations, which requires them to develop as characters and develop as people. And that's exactly why this movie is so great, is because of the character development. The character development is absolutely phenomenal for all three of the main characters. So, first, I want to talk about Sid, as he's the least, he had the least character development. He started off as an annoying sloth, and he ended as an annoying sloth. But as the movie went on, it does seem like he begins to appreciate those around him more, and yeah, he just appreciates them and has a good time with them, and begins to actually become useful by the end of the movie, which is something he is not at the beginning of the movie. He's completely useless and honestly a detriment to the team, but by the end he does make himself somewhat useful and is a good guy to have around on the team. He's a nice spirit booster. So it's not much of an arc, but it's something for Sid. But I mean, Sid doesn't need that much of an arc. His whole role is just comic relief, and he is just funny, and everyone loves Sid. Sid is a homie. But so yeah, so Sid is great. But he's not really a great example of character development in this movie. The two great examples of character development are Manny and Diego. So first, let's talk about Diego. When Diego starts this movie off, he's a pure saber-toothed tiger. He's a ruthless tiger who wants to get kills for the pack and do the best so his pack can survive, and do everything for the saber-toothed tiger pack. And that's exactly why when he meets up with Manny and Sid, he begins to lead Sid and Manny to a sabotage point where the rest of the saber-toothed tigers are going to attack Manny and Sid and hopefully kill Manny because he's a mammoth and very desirable. And yeah, he's a pretty ruthless tiger, and that's what he does. But as time goes on, Diego learns that there's more to life than just killing and doing stuff for the pack. He learns that the animals that he's killing are actually people and deserve more than that, and he becomes connected with Manny and Sid in such a way that he can't go through with his plan. And in fact, he doesn't just not go through with his plan, he ends up supposedly sacrificing his life to save Manny and Sid. At the end of the movie, the three other saber-toothed tigers come in and ambush Manny and Sid, and they're left to defend themselves, and it looks like the saber-toothed tigers are going to get the best of them. But luckily, Diego puts a stop to it and saves them. And he doesn't just save them, he takes a huge wound to himself, which probably should have killed him. Diego sacrificed his life for a mammoth and a sloth, something at the beginning of the movie you'd never think he would do. You know, he was a saber-toothed tiger who just killed for the pack, and that's all he did. But now he finally learned the value of other beings besides saber-toothed tigers, and that led him to risking his life to save Manny and Sid. And that is just phenomenal character development. It shows incredible growth from Diego as a person, and just shows how great he is, how great he became. That's what I meant. But yeah, it's phenomenal character development and was extremely well written. But Diego wasn't the only one that had phenomenal character development, and he wasn't the only one that was phenomenally well written. The other one is Manny himself. When we look at Manny at the beginning of the movie, he's a loner mammoth. He doesn't want to deal with anyone or anything. He's just trying to survive. And yeah, that's what he is. So yeah, as this loner mammoth, he doesn't want to deal with anyone. And eventually Sid comes along, and Sid just tags along and kind of forces Manny to deal with him. And obviously this makes Manny unhappy. But this is the first stage of his character development. As the movie goes on, Manny is always kind of annoyed by Sid, but he learns to appreciate and kind of love Sid, and he does a lot of things for Sid and helps him out. And yeah, he goes from absolutely hating him to being a really good friend with Sid. But that's not the only moment of character development for Manny. The same can be said with Diego. Originally, Manny doesn't really trust Diego and doesn't want anything to do with him either. But as the movie goes on, he, just like how he did with Sid, he became pretty attached to Diego and became really good friends with him, and was legitimately really broken after he thought Diego died and sacrificing his life for him. And that just shows his character development phenomenally. It shows that Manny went from being this loner mammoth who hated everyone and didn't want to deal with anything, to having two legitimate friends that he would do anything for, and legitimately wept for when one sacrificed his life for him. It's just phenomenal character development, and it's just phenomenal in every way. But that isn't the biggest part of Manny's character development. Throughout the movie, through cave paintings, we can see little hints that Manny did not have the best experiences with humans. We can see through like the cave paintings and stuff like that, he has traumatic memories with humans, and it can be safe to assume that the humans are the reason he's the lone mammoth. The humans killed his family, and he was left all alone, and that's why he doesn't want to deal with anything, because he doesn't want to be targeted by humans anymore. But despite this aversion to humans, and quite frankly probably hating them and being severely traumatized by them, he still manages to do the right thing and help the human baby get back to his home. Because remember, this whole story is about them leading the baby back to the humans. And it seems like Manny has a traumatic past with the humans, and it would be completely understandable if he didn't want to take the human baby at all. If he wanted to just let it die because of how the humans traumatized him. And that would have been completely understandable, but instead, he didn't. He chose to take the baby and to watch over it and make sure it gets back to its people. And that shows the biggest piece of character development I think that could ever be shown. And that is that Manny overcame past trauma to do the right thing. And that is one of the hardest things anyone can do. If you know anyone who has had past trauma like Manny supposedly had, it's really hard to it's really hard to get over and be able to do the right thing that you probably wouldn't do because of that trauma. But Manny managed to do it, and it shows just how far his character has come. He was a loner mammoth who had everything taken away from him by humans, who managed to make friends along the way and legitimately care for and do things for those friends, and even weep at one of their deaths, and also help a human get back to his people because it's the right thing to do. And now this is a little bit of speculation by me, but I don't just think that Manny helped the baby because it was the right thing to do. I think he helped the baby because he saw a little bit of himself in the baby and didn't want the baby to have to live through life the same way he did. Because look at the baby. He's a human. He's a little kid who lost his family, lost everything, and was forced to go it alone. That seems exactly like what Manny had to go through when his family died at the hands of humans. He was presumably quite little and had to go through life on his own, and that severely traumatized him and made it so he didn't want to open himself up to anyone at all. And Manny didn't want that for the kid, so he knew that it was the right thing to do to bring him back to his people so he wouldn't have to go it alone just like he did, so he wouldn't turn out like Manny did. And because of this one choice to help that kid, it led Manny to overcoming most of his past trauma and opening himself up to Sid and Diego, and a functioning finally becoming a functioning mammoth after all that trauma that happened to him. So yeah, when we look at Ice Age, we can see that even though it's just a kids movie, there's some really heavy themes in there, and yeah, it's a story. It's a story about people who wouldn't be likely to come together, overcome their past traumas and everything that was holding them back for doing the right thing of saving a human baby, despite it not being in any of their interests. And it's a really phenomenal story that shows character development really well, especially with Manny and Diego. And just especially with Manny. Manny's character development is absolutely phenomenal, and I couldn't imagine anything better for that character. And we can see that Manny continues to develop into the second Ice Age, which I will do a video on if you guys want it. So if you want a video on the second Ice Age, remember to subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff, so I know you guys want it. So yeah, Ice Age is a phenomenal movie. I recommend that you guys rewatch it because it is a really good movie. And despite it being a kids movie, there are several adult themes in there that are kind of heavy. So yeah, go watch Ice Age. It's a great movie. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff. And yeah, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on Sunday. So, bye!